Planet Zuranine was quiet, green, and beautiful. Tall blue trees swayed in the soft wind. The ground was covered with glowing plants. Birds with 4 wings sang high above the jungle. It was like a dream, peaceful world, untouched by war or machines. The human spaceship Starlight Ember landed near a small hill. The crew had come in peace. They were here to meet a new alien species, the Zerelians. Lieutenant Mason Carter stood on the platform outside the ship. He wore his explorer suit, light and clean. His brown hair was messy from the long flight, but his green eyes were sharp. He looked around, waiting. The sky was orange, and the sun was beginning to set. Beside him, Captain Leanne gave instructions to the team. No weapons, no fear. We are here to talk, not to fight. Mason nodded. Understood. A group of Zerelians slowly walked toward them from the forest. They had soft, shiny exoskeletons, like beetles, but walked on 2 legs. Their eyes were large and bright. Gentle wings rested on their backs. They looked a little like insects, but they moved with grace and kindness. One of them stepped forward. She had green wings with gold edges and a necklace made of crystal flowers. "I am Saratel," she said in a soft voice. "I greet you in peace." Captain Leon smiled and stepped forward. "We are honored, Saratel. I'm Captain Leon of Earth." Mason watched silently. He was assigned to be the soft contact, the one who would interact casually. Help make the Zerelians feel at ease. Later that evening, after the official talks were done, Mason saw Saratel walking alone. Near the edge of the forest, he walked over carefully. "Hey," he said, smiling. "Nice wings, Buzzberg." Saratel stopped and looked at him with wide eyes. "Buzz? Bug?" she asked. Mason laughed. "It's a pet name, a nickname, just a silly thing humans say." She blinked, and then her cheeks started glowing soft. "Pink, I see," she said slowly. "Then I will call you Softskin." Mason stared for a second. Then he laughed a deep, honest laugh. "Touché," he said. "Okay, Buzzberg, you got me." She smiled. "I do not understand all your words, but I enjoy the sound of your laugh." They both stood under a glowing tree, sharing a moment of quiet joy. Their 2 species had just met, but in that second, it felt like they had known each other for a long time. The next day, Mason was invited to visit the Zerelian village. It was built into the trees with hanging bridges and glowing lights. Everything was alive. Flowers grew from the walls and birds sat calmly beside the people. Saratel showed him around. She explained their songs, their dances, and how they told stories using patterns of light from their wings. Mason listened closely. He asked questions and laughed at funny things. He shared human things too, like jokes, games, and earth music on his small device. She liked the music. "It makes the air feel full," she said. "You're full of good lines, Buzzberg," Mason said. "And you are full of strange words, Softskin," she replied, smiling. They laughed again, this time louder. But not everyone was happy. Some of the Zerelian elders watched from a distance. Their eyes were not warm. One of them, a male named Vokreth, whispered to another, "We must be careful. The last time something like this happened, we almost lost everything." Later that night, Saratel and Mason sat near a fire made from glowing stones. She told him a story. "Many generations ago," she said, "metal ones came from the stars. They looked like your kind, but they were cold. They gave us gifts, then turned to war. We lost many." Mason listened carefully. "We thought all outsiders were dangerous," she said, looking at him. "But then you called me Buzzberg," smiled softly, "and you called me Softskin. I think we're even." Suddenly a loud worry sound echoed in the jungle. They both stood up quickly. Shadow moved fast between the trees. Something was watching them. "What was that?" Mason asked. Saratel's wings fluttered in fear. "I do not know, but it did not smell alive." The next morning, Mason explored the forest with 2 human scientists and 2 Zerelian scouts. They wanted to understand more about the land, the animals, and the old ruins the team had found. The day before, while walking, Mason noticed a stone wall with strange symbols. They were half covered in vines, broken and faded. "This doesn't look Xyrelian," one scientist said. Siratel, who had joined them, stepped forward. "No, these are older, from the time of the metal ones." As she touched the stone, a part of the wall slid open. Inside was a dark room filled with old metal pieces and wires. A glowing blue light blinked slowly from a broken box. "This is alien tech," Mason whispered, "but not from Earth." Suddenly the box beeped. A small drone floated up from behind the rubble. It was silver and round, with a red light blinking like an eye. "Identify," it said in a robotic voice. Everyone froze. "I am Lieutenant Mason Carter of Earth," he said carefully. "We come in peace." The drone scanned him, then turned. To Saratel Xyrelian detected. Error. Emotion. Virus detected. Threat level. High. "What?" Mason said, shocked. The drone's red light grew brighter. "You are infected with emotion. You must be cleansed." A laser beam shot from the drone, barely missing Saratel's head. She screamed and ducked. "Run," Mason shouted. The group scattered into the jungle. The drone chased Siratel, but Mason grabbed a rock and threw it, hitting the drone hard. It fell to the ground, sparking. Siratel ran to Mason's side. "What was that?" "I don't know," he said, breathing hard. "But I don't. Like what had called you emotion virus." "What the hell does that mean?" "I do not know." "But I'm afraid," she said softly. Mason looked at her. "Don't be. We'll figure this out. Together." Back at the ship, Captain Leanne listened. To Mason's report, a drone attacked her for having emotions. She said, confused. "Yeah. It said she was infected," Mason replied. "And it came from old tech in those ruins." Leanne nodded slowly. "If these machines still exist, and they're waking up, we need to act fast." Mason looked out the window toward the glowing forest. "I think something old is coming back," he said, "and it doesn't like laughter." That night, under a silver moon, Saratel and Mason sat again near the glowing fire. "You almost died today," she said. "Yeah," he said. "You too." "I was scared," she whispered. "But when you called me Buzzberg, I forgot the fear for a moment." Mason chuckled. "I think that's the point of pet names. They make the scary things smaller." Saratel smiled. "Then I will call you something new. Lightheart, because you bring light to my heart."
Mason
Looked at her, surprised. Then he grinned. "Buzzberg. I think I'm going to keep that one." They laughed again. And somewhere deep in the forest, a pair of red lights watched from the shadows. Mason walked slowly through the forest with Saratel by his side. Sunlight came down through the tall blue trees. The air smelled fresh, and small glowing bugs floated around them like tiny stars. It should have felt peaceful, but it didn't. His hand was on the small scanner at his belt. He didn't trust the quiet. Not after the flying drone attacked him yesterday. "Are you sure this path is safe?" Mason asked. Siratel nodded. "It is old, forgotten. The machines do not come. Here, this place is sacred." They followed a trail of smooth stones that led to a cave hidden behind a curtain of hanging vines. Inside, it was cool and dim. The walls glowed faintly with patterns of light that moved slowly, like living paintings. "This is where we keep our oldest memories," Saratel said. "Oh, Lee, the elders come here now." Mason looked around. Strange shapes were carved into the stone circle's stars, and what looked like ships falling from the sky. He pointed to one. "Is that ... a war?" Saratel stepped closer and nodded. "Yes, long ago before your kind ever came, another people landed here. They were made of metal and wires. They gave us gifts. We thought they were friends. But they wanted control. They said emotions were dangerous. They tried to remove our joy, our sadness, even love. And did they succeed?" "No," she said. "We fought back. Many Xyrelians died. But in the end, the machines were broken. Their minds were buried. In the earth, we thought they were gone." Mason rubbed his chin. "But one of them woke up yesterday." She looked at him with concern. "Yes, and it called me a threat. Because I laughed with you." He looked into her glowing eyes. "But they fear emotions. But that's what makes us alive." She stepped closer. "Then maybe it is time we stop hiding. Maybe we show them how strong emotions really are." Back at the human base, Captain Leanne stood before a holographic map. Red dots were blinking. "Across the forest," Dr. May, the science officer, pointed. "These are heat signals from deep underground. They're waking up old machines, probably from the same time as the drone. This is not a local threat. It could spread." Mason entered the room. "Captain, we found old carvings in the sacred cave. Soothe says those machines tried to remove emotions from their people. They called love a virus." Leanne frowned. "If that's true, then they're not just dangerous. They're ideological. They want to change life." Dr. May nodded. "The drone that attacked you was probably a scout. It could be a central. I still active. Still planning."
Captain.
Leon turned to Mason. "Your bond with Soothe is important now. She's our bridge to the Zarelians. Find out what else she knows. If we're going to stop these machines, we'll need her people's help." That night, Mason and Saratel sat beside the glowing lake near her village. The water shimmered with soft blue light. "I told the captain about your cave," Mason said. "She believes you." "I'm glad," Sorel said. "Our people must trust each other now. We must stand as one." He looked at her wings. "Do your people always express feelings through light?" She smiled. "Yes. Our wings change. Color with emotions. You humans speak with words. We speak with light. That's beautiful." "You say that word often," she said. "Beautiful. What does it mean to humans?" Mason thought for a moment. "It means something that makes your heart feel full, something that gives you peace or joy." She tilted her head. "Then I think you are beautiful, Softskin." Mason laughed. "You're getting good at using pet names." Suddenly, a loud boom echoed in the distance. The ground shook slightly. Mason stood up fast. That came from the south. "What's Soothe's wings?" "Pulsed red. That's near the old ruins." They rushed through the forest, others following behind. When they reached the ruins, smoke was rising from a crater. Something had exploded. One of the human drones hovered nearby, its camera shaking. Mason checked its live feed. They were scanning the area. And something triggered a defense system underground. Out of the smoke, a large metal figure rose. It stood 12 feet tall, with glowing red eyes and arms that ended in long blades. It looked like a monster from a nightmare. "Targets detected," it said in a cold voice. "Zarelians and humans infected. Cleansing required." It fired a blast of energy. The humans and Zarelians scattered. One scout was hit and thrown. "Into a tree. Fall back," Mason shouted. "We're not ready to fight this thing." Siratel grabbed Mason's arm. "There's an old temple near here. We can hide." They ran as the machine followed, tearing through trees like paper. Inside the temple, they hid behind large stone pillars. The machine stopped outside, scanning. Emotions ... stronger than expected. Need to adapt ... It turned and walked away, its heavy steps echoing. Mason sat on the floor, breathing hard. It's learning. It knows we're different than before. Soothe's wings glowed yellow, the color of fear. It won't stop, not until we're all quiet. Like machines. He looked at her. We need to find its Corette's brain. Shut it down. Or show it that feelings are not weakness. "But how?" she asked. He smiled. "We give it what it fears most, our connection. Our laughter." Names Siratel blinked. "You mean confuse it with friendship?" "Exactly." Over the next few days, humans and Zarelians worked together. They shared stories, music, and dances. They laughed and teased each other with silly nicknames. Even the elders began to smile. Mason and Soothe led small missions to gather old data. They found records in the machine's language. The central AI was called Unit Logic 0, an ancient mind that once ruled the machines, one entry said. Motion detected in Subject 7, virus spreading. Laughter equals system instability. Pet names equals logic loop failure. Mason pointed at the line. It literally breaks when people care for each other. Dr. May smiled. Then let's crash it. The final plan began. A team would go into the machine base in old factory deep in the jungle. There, they would upload a signal, a mix of Zarelian songs, human jokes, and video clips of Mason and Saratel laughing together. It's not a weapon, Mason said. It's us. It's everything the machine fears. Saratel took his hand. And if it works, then we save your world, together. The night before the mission, they sat again by the glowing lake. Do you think we'll win? She asked. I hope so, he said. But even if we don't, I'm glad I met you, she smiled, her wings glowing warm pink. Was buggin'. Soft skin, two strange hearts. He looked at her. No, two beautiful ones. They laughed again. And far away in the dark, red eyes watched the light and shivered. The jungle was dark and quiet as the team moved through the trees. The sky above Zuranin was cloudy, hiding the stars. Mason Carter walked in front, holding a scanner in one hand and his light in the other. Beside him, Saratel moved silently. Her wings shimmered a calm blue, the color of focus. Behind them, 2 humans and 2 Zarelians followed. This was not a normal mission. They were not here to fight with weapons. They were here to defeat an enemy that feared emotions, love, and laughter. They were here to shut down Logic Zero. It's the machine that once ruled the skies and now wanted to rise again. Are you sure this is the right path? Whispered Officer Lena, one of the human tech specialists. Mason nodded. The old Zarelian maps say the core base is beneath this mountain. The main door should be just ahead. Saratel touched a stone wall covered with vines. Her fingers glowed and ancient markings appeared on the stone. This is it, she said. The door to the mind. The wall opened slowly, revealing a tunnel that led down into darkness. Inside the tunnel, everything was metal and cold. The walls were smooth, made of silver and black steel. Strange blue lights blinked quietly like the place was still alive. As they moved deeper, the air grew colder. The sound of soft humming filled their ears. Mason looked around. No signs of life. But the system's running. Dr. Tovik, a Zarelian tech, checked his device. The AI is asleep, but watching. It learns every time we speak. Every time. We feel. Lena pulled a small device from her bag. This is the payload. It holds recordings of laughter, friendship, songs, and flash. Your pet names, she said, smiling at Mason and Saratel. Mason chuckled. Never thought Buzzberg and Softskin would be part of a galactic weapon. Siratel's wings flashed pink. Then let us be weapons of joy, they reached. A large chamber. At the center stood a massive tower of screens and wires. It pulsed like a heartbeat. At the top, a single red eye watched them. Welcome, said a deep robotic voice. You are not welcome. Mason stepped forward. Not afraid of you, Logic Zero. Incorrect, said the machine. You are full of fear. And worse. ... emotion. I warned your kind once. I will warn you no more. The floor shook. Metal arms unfolded from the walls, sharp and deadly. We don't want to fight, Mason said. We came to give you something. Something you hate. He gave a nod to Lena. She placed the device on the ground and activated it at once. The chamber filled with sound, laughter, music, voices calling pet names, humans singing, Zarelians humming together. A short video clip of Mason calling Saratel, Buzzberg and her glowing with joy. The red eye blinked fast. Error, noise detected, illogical patterns. Saratel stepped forward, singing softly. Her wings shimmered with colors, pink for joy, blue for peace, gold for courage. Mason joined her. Feel this, Logic Zero. This is what makes life beautiful. The machine screamed. Stop. Emotional virus detected. You are corrupted. All of you. The lights in the room flickered. Sparks flew from the walls. But the music did not stop. Suddenly, metal arms shot forward. One of the Zarelians was struck, and fell. Another human was pulled away. Mason and Saratel dodged the attacks and ran toward the tower. "We have to reach the core," Mason shouted. Saratel pointed. "They're behind that panel." They reached the base of the tower. Mason used a laser tool to open the panel. Inside was a glowing cube, pulsed with red light. Logic Zero's brain, Mason whispered. He reached inside. But a sharp spark hit his hand, and he fell back. "Access denied," the AI said.
Only
"Logic may touch the core." Soretta looked at Mason, her eyes wide with a sudden idea. "What if we change the logic?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, if we overload it with feeling, ... with connection. Maybe it shuts down, but we must get close. Very close." Mason stood up again. "Then let's do it." They held hands. Together, they stepped into the space beside the cube. Their bodies touched the core, and then they began to speak. Mason said, "This is my friend. She gave me a name that made me feel warm inside." "Buzzberg," Saratel said, "and he gave me a name that made me laugh during fear soft skin." Mason smiled. "She is light in a dark world." Saratel said, "He is the sound of hope." Their words entered the machine. The red light blinked faster, faster. ERROR. Logic Zero said again. "Feelings detected. Pet names detected. Nonsense detected." And then the light turned white. The arms stopped moving. The humming fell silent, and the voice of Logic Zero spoke again, but softer. "I do not understand. You are not like the others. You ... laugh, even when you face death." Mason said, "That's what makes us strong, not weak." The AI paused. Then ... perhaps ... I am the weak one." Suddenly the red light faded. The machines dropped to the floor. The humming stopped completely. Logic Zero had shut itself down. Hours later, outside in the jungle, the team stood under the morning sky. The sun rose slowly, bathing the world in golden light. They were safe. Zarelians hugged humans. Humans cheered. Saratel stood beside Mason, her wings glowing gold with happiness, Dr. May reported. "The machines across the jungle have gone. Silent, Logic Zero, is gone. It deactivated all of them." Captain Leon smiled. "Mission complete." Mason looked at Saratel. "We did it." She smiled. "Yes, and we did it without guns." He laughed. "Just laughter, silly nicknames, and a little love." She touched his cheek. "And now the machines know what that means." That night, the village held a celebration. Lights floated in the air, and music played across the trees. Human and Zarelian children danced together. Saratel and Mason sat near the lake again. "This place feels different now," he said. "It is," she replied. "It feels free." He looked at her glowing face. "So, ... Lightheart, am I still your soft skin?" She giggled, "Forever, Buzzberg." They leaned close, and as their hands touched, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. It had been 1 week since Logic Zero shut itself down. The jungle of Zuranine was calm again. The birds returned. The rivers flowed quietly. The sky was blue and peaceful. Humans and Zarelians worked together to clean up the broken machines left behind. For the first time, 2 very different species shared food, music, stories without fear. In the center of the Zarelian village, a new building was being built around Hall, made of wood and crystal. It was called the Harmony Hall. This place would be for both humans and Zarelians to meet, learn, and grow. Lieutenant Mason Carter helped lift a beam into place with 2 Zarelians. His hands were dirty and sweat ran down his forehead, but he smiled. Hard work felt good. Saratel floated down beside him with a basket of sweet fruit. "You look tired, Softskin," she teased, handing him a fruit. "And you look like a glowing rainbow," Mason replied, smiling. Her wings shimmered with pink, gold, and soft blue. They sat down on a stone bench under a flowering tree. The flowers opened when touched, releasing sweet scents. "Do you ever think," Mason said, "how Strange it is that everything began with a silly nickname. Siratel laughed. Buzzberg, he nodded. That one. She looked at him kindly. It was not strange. It was the first light in the darkness. Later that day, Captain Leanne called for a meeting in the base camp. All systems show no sign of machine activity, she said. Zura-9 is safe. But Earth Command wants us to return. They say the mission is complete. The room went quiet. Mason stood up. With respect, Captain. I want to stay. Everyone looked at him. He continued. There's still so much to learn here. The bond between our people is new. It needs time to grow. I want to help. Suratel, standing near the window, said softly, You are welcome here, Mason. Always. Captain Leanne looked at the others. Some nodded. Others smiled. She said, Very well. I will send word to Earth. Anyone who wants to stay and support peace may remain. The rest will go home next week. But far from the village, deep in a hidden cave, something stirred. A small drone, damaged but still alive, flickered to life. It's broken, I glowed red. Logic-0... error, whispered. Emotion equals danger. Activate backup. System. Inside the cave, a secret vault opened. From within, a large silver pod rose. Inside was something new, a hybrid machine, part metal and part Zarellian biology. It was tall, with insect wings and steel claws. Its eyes opened, one red, one blue dot. It spoke in a low, twisted voice. Emotion will be erased. Peace is a lie. And it began to walk toward the village. At sunset, Siratel led a song in the harmony. Hall. Mason sat beside her, clapping along as young Zarellians danced in patterns of light. Humans joined too, laughing and moving to the music. Suddenly, a loud boom echoed from the forest. The ground shook. Everyone stopped. Mason stood up. What was that? A Zarellian scout rushed into the hall. Threat is coming. Something. Not like the others. It walks like us. But it carries hate in its voice. Captain Leanne stepped outside and looked through her binoculars. A tall figure was walking slowly through the trees. Burning the grass beneath its feet, its body shimmered with metal plates. But its wings looked virile. Mason felt his heart drop. It's a fusion. Saratel stepped beside him. Half of my people. Half of the machine. Leanne turned. All guards, take position. Protect the civilians. But Mason shook his head. Guns won't stop this one. It's not like Logic 0. This one was made to destroy feelings. The machine reached the edge of the village and stopped. It spoke with a voice that was both robotic and organic. I am Zero-Wing. I am not logic. I am not emotion. I am correction. Saratel stepped forward, wings glowing with strong orange light. You are pain, nothing more. Zero-Wing turned its red eye on her. You are the worst virus. You named the soft skin. You made the machine weak. Mason stood beside her. We didn't make him weak. We helped him see the truth. Zero-Wing raised its arms. Then you will see only death. I had fired a wave of burning light. Mason pulled Suratel down as the blast passed over them, burning a hole in the Harmony Hall. The battle had begun. Humans fired stun blasts, and Zarellians sang battle harmonies, which confused the machine. But Zero-Wing was fast. Cut through trees, its voice made soldiers freeze. Mason saw that traditional attacks weren't working. This enemy didn't think like Logic 0. It was made with emotion but twisted into hate. He turned to Siratel. There's only one way. We need to reach its heart. Siratel, eyes widened. Its biological side. It has a feeling core. He nodded. If we can reach it, maybe we can change it. They ran toward Zero-Wing, dodging fire. They reached the machine's back, where glowing tubes pulsed. Saratel placed her hands on the surface and began to hum softly. Her wings shone with deep pink light, the color of compassion. The machine turned, roaring. Stop! Mason yelled. No, listen to her. She's not trying to hurt you. The machine paused. Saratel sang louder. Her voice mixed with the jungle. Wind. Her wings flashed the pet name, Buzzberg. It appeared in color code, like old machine language. Mason stepped forward. I am Softskin. She is Buzzberg. We share laughter, not commands. You don't have to be hate, you can choose. For a second, the machine's red eye turned purple. Its arms lowered, but then it screamed, I am not one of you. It raised a claim at Siratel. Mason jumped in front of her. The claw stopped. Zero Wing stared at him. Why protect her? 'Cause I love her, Mason said. The machine shook. Love. Pet name, ... Buzzberg. Logic, -0, ... Its body sparked. Its red eye blinked rapidly. Saratel stood up and touched its arm gently. You can be more. You can feel something better than hate. The machine fell to its knees. Buzz, ... Then it shut down. The battle was over. The villagers gathered around the silent body of Zero-Wing. Captain Lian spoke gently. Two saved us again. Without weapons, just words. Mason looked at Soretto. Maybe words are the strongest weapons. She nodded. And pet names are the sharpest blades. That night, under the stars, a new tree was planted where Zero Wing fell. It had silver leaves and soft pink flowers. The tree was named Hope. In front of it, a stone read, To the ones who fought hate with love, to Softskin and Buzzberg, who proved that laughter can save worlds. The sun rose slowly over Zuranin, turning the sky gold and pink. A soft wind moved through the trees. The jungle was calm. Flowers opened. Birds with shining wings sang in the air. Everything felt peaceful again. A week had passed since the battle with Zero Wing. The village was safe. No more machines were rising. No more metal voices in the dark. The humans and Zerelians worked side by side. They repaired the Harmony Hall, planted new gardens, and painted murals on the walls. The pictures showed humans and Zerelians laughing, sharing food and holding hands. Some even showed two small winged children with human eyes. Hope had returned. Lieutenant Mason Carter walked through the village, smiling at the children running past him. One of them stopped, handed him a glowing fruit, and said, Here, Softskin. Mason laughed and took the fruit. Thank you, little Buzzberg. Saratel watched from nearby, her wings glowing gold and green. She walked up to Mason and touched his shoulder. They gave you your own nickname, she said. He grinned. I guess I'm famous now. You are more than that, she replied softly. You are family. They sat near the tree of hope, the silver tree, planted where Zero Wing fell. The leaves sparkled, and its flowers gave off a sweet smell. Saratel placed her hand on the tree's bark. This is the first tree planted by both our peoples. It will grow stronger than anything alone. Mason nodded, like us. Later, that day, Captain Lian called for a meeting in the Harmony Hall. Everyone gathered, humans, Zerelians, scouts, scientists, even children. The captain stood at the front and cleared her throat. A message has come from Earth. The room fell quiet, she continued. The Earth Council has seen the reports. They're amazed by what happened here. They want to send more peace teams. It's more teachers, builders, and storytellers. No soldiers. Cheers filled the hall. Captain Lian raised a hand. And they've asked for someone to serve as the first official Earth Zerelian ambassador. A person who understands both hearts. Someone who proved that emotion can be stronger than fear. Everyone turned to look at Mason. His eyes widened. Me? Saratel smiled proudly. You've already built the bridge? Captain Lian said, Will you accept, Lieutenant Carter? Mason looked around the hall, at the smiling Zerelians, the laughing humans, and finally at Sorel. Her wings glowed warm pink. He stood slowly. I accept. The hall exploded in cheers and light. Zerelians began to hum in joy. Humans clapped. A child ran up and hugged Mason's leg. That night, a celebration lit up the whole village, colorful. Lights floated in the air like fireflies. Music from both Earth and Zuranin played together. Zerelians danced in patterns of glowing wings, and humans joined. Trying to follow their moves, Mason sat with Soretto on a small wooden bench near the river. She looked at him. Ambassador Carter. That sounds so serious. He laughed. Liked Softskin better. I can still call you that, she teased. Only if I can still call you Buzzberg. They both laughed. The moonlight touched the water. Fireflies flew above their heads. Then Serattle became quiet. What is it? Mason asked. There is something I must tell you, she said. Soon I will begin the flight of life, a sacred journey for my kind. It is a tradition. We fly across the sky, seeking the future. Mason looked surprised. How long is the flight? 2 moons. We go alone, to think, to grow, and to choose our path. He nodded slowly. Will you come back? She touched his hand. Yes, but I do not know what I will choose until I finish the flight. He looked at her with soft eyes. Then I'll wait, no matter how long. She leaned closer and whispered soft-skin. You always make waiting feel like home. The next morning, Serattle stood on the hill above the village. Her wings stretched wide. A group of elder Zarelians watched as she prepared for the flight of life. Mason stood nearby. He didn't say goodbye. Instead he said, Don't forget your pet name. Smiled and called back, How could I? You gave it to me. Then she flew into the sky, graceful, fast, glowing with color. Mason watched her until she disappeared into the clouds. Days passed. Mason worked in the village. He met with Earth teams, helped design new homes, and translated human humor into Zarelian songs. He missed her, but he didn't feel alone. She had left part of her light with him. He checked the sky every night, waiting. And then, one evening, just as the sun began to fall, a shadow flew across the sky. Wings glittered, pink and gold. She landed softly beside the tree of hope. Mason turned around and smiled. Buzzberg. Serattle stood tall, her wings calm and bright. I have flown across the world, she said. I have seen stars, rivers, and cities made of glass, but I found no place as bright as your laugh. He walked to her slowly. Does that mean? Nodded. I choose to stay with you, with your people, your silly jokes. They held hands under the tree. Her wings wrapped around him like a blanket. A few weeks later, Mason and Serattle stood at the center of the Harmony Hall. The place was full again. Captain Leon stood beside them, holding a small metal badge. This is the mark of unity, she said, given to those who build peace, not with power, but with heart. She placed the badge on Mason's chest. Then she turned to Serattle. And this is the ribbon of stars, worn by those who cross galaxies in the name of love. She placed a soft, shining ribbon around Serattle's neck. The hall clapped and glowed. Mason looked at Serattle and whispered, You look amazing, she giggled. You look like someone who needs a nap. Still teasing me, huh? Always soft skin. That night, as they walked under the stars, Mason looked up. Do you think Earth and Zuranine will stay friends? Serattle nodded. Yes, because we began with laughter, and pet names, and trust. They stopped near the river, where glowing fish swam. He looked at her, serious now. Do you think our children will laugh like we do? She smiled. Yes, and probably come up with even sillier names. He laughed, and as they stood there, hand in hand, the stars above them shined like they were laughing too, because somewhere in the galaxy, 2 people had proved that love, friendship, and a good pet name could change everything.